Lesson 3, Unit 2, Monitoring and Evaluation Plan. The M&E Plan is a document that describes the strategies to monitor and evaluate the project. The document can vary in size depending on how large and complex is the project. A typical M&E plan will contain the following elements: a background or project overview, the logical framework information about the monitoring component and the evaluation component of the plan, roles and responsibilities, and information on how the findings will be reported and shared with key stakeholders. The section on the monitoring component describes the plan to monitor the project. This will include information about the performance indicators, baseline assumptions, and scheduling of the monitoring activities. The background section is a short summary of the project. It contains information that helps understand the M&E plan. It will include a description of the project and its objectives, the context of the project, the general purpose of the M&E plan, and information about the main beneficiaries and assumptions. The plan will describe the content of the logical framework matrix and the theory of change that the project is using. The log frame is the basis for the development of the M&E plan. The monitoring plan answers a series of questions that helps structure the plan into a cohesive framework. The plan will describe the purpose of the monitoring plan, list the monitoring activities, identify the schedule of the activities, the location, the process to carry out the activities, and the people responsible for those activities. Some of this information is summarized in the monitoring work plan matrix. The monitoring matrix is a simple tool that helps organize the most important information of the monitoring plan in a format that can be easily shared and used by the people with responsibilities on M&E. It contains 6 columns to list the objectives, the indicators for each level, the sources of information, the collection method, the frequency of the collection, and the person or people responsible. The first column of the matrix includes a description of each level of the indicators. These include process indicators to track activities, output indicators, outcome indicators, and goal indicators. The plan will also include a definition and purpose for each indicator and might even make a reference if the indicator is related to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. The first 2 levels will measure the efficiency of the project. The third and fourth levels will measure the effectiveness of the project. The next column describes the sources of information for each indicator. This may include primary sources or secondary sources. It will also include information as to the location of the data, ownership of the information if it's secondary data, and the level of reliability and quality of the data. This information facilitates the data collection process. The project will need to identify the most optimal sources of information that are cost-effective, trustworthy, and easy to collect. The next column includes the data collection methods. This will include methods for collecting qualitative and quantitative data, such as surveys, meetings, interviews, focus groups, and analysis of secondary data. The project team will need to decide on the methods that are the most effective to get the data for each type of indicator. The choice can have implications to the time, cost, and effort to get the data, and the use of the data in the analysis and reporting process. The next column identifies the frequency of collecting the data. This can vary from annual, semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly. The type of indicator and the need to report on progress will determine the frequency. Process data will be collected on a regular basis as the project makes progress, such as the number of training events. The information on this column can also be represented in a Gantt-type chart to facilitate the coordination of project resources. This column identifies the person, group, or unit responsible for collecting the data. This can include the M&E officer, the project team, an external consultant, a partner, and even a group of beneficiaries. For some types of indicators, it can even be a mix of people, but it's important that all indicators have a person assigned with the data collection responsibility. Another important tool used in the development of the monitoring plan is the monitoring work plan. It organizes the information to help track the progress and monitor the performance of the project indicators. 3 additional columns are included in this matrix: the target, the progress, and the timeline. The target is the expected value of the indicator at the end of the project. Progress is the current status of the indicator at the moment of reporting, and the timeline shows the period of time when the indicator is collected and tracked. The data management plan is another important component of the M&E plan. It should include information about the systems used for data collection, processing, analysis, and reporting. Managing data requires a careful analysis of information requirements to report project information to the various stakeholders. The goal is to ensure that the right information reaches to the right people at the right time. An important element of the monitoring plan is to define how the data will move from the source to the key stakeholders that need information to make important decisions. The data flow should identify how the information moves from when it's collected from the field and how it moves to the project, the organization, the donor, and other key stakeholders. The evaluation component of the M&E plan includes the following elements. Type of evaluations. They can be formative, summative, internal by unit in the organization, or external by a consultant. The evaluation methods, such as structured interviews or surveys. The evaluation questions that seek to answer key concerns about the project. The evaluation schedule, which should include the timing for the midterm and final evaluations. Here's an example of an evaluation plan. It's a simple matrix that summarizes important information that will help the project team implement the evaluation plan. The key components of this plan are the type of evaluations the project will carry, the timing of the evaluation, the main evaluation questions, start and end dates of the evaluation, and an estimate of the budget for the evaluation. This section identifies the roles and responsibilities in the monitoring and evaluation process, including the levels of authorization granted from the organization to the project staff to make changes and update the monitoring plan, the people responsible for developing the reports, and those who will approve the project reports before they are disseminated to a larger audience. The section includes the responsibilities for data management, including data quality, in the monitoring and evaluation process. It is also a good idea to include the roles and responsibilities of partners, key stakeholders, and even beneficiaries. The reports section of the M&E plan describes the types of reports the project will develop and distribute. For example, progress reports and end-of-year reports. A distribution list of the key stakeholders that will receive the reports based on their needs or information include the preferred formats to send information, the frequency, and any specific date when the reports need to be distributed. A final consideration in the M&E plan is to determine the cost associated with data collection, the cost for the development and support of the M&E system, the cost for external consultants, and costs related to capacity building of staff. These costs need to be allocated in the project budget. A recommended percentage to allocate the entire M&E cost ranges between 3 to 10% of the total project's budget.